Hello and welcome to the Consumer Friend podcast. As you hopefully know by now, at Consumer Friend we believe everyone should have some knowledge of their rights when they're purchasing goods, services or digital content. What they're entitled to, what they're not entitled to. No, they don't have to helicopter you personally to Tenerife if your flight gets cancelled. You can find loads of information on our website, consumerfriend.org.uk. We are constantly adding new content to the website in terms of Trained in 2, where you can understand your rights on topics in 2 minutes. Fun videos. We've been practicing with TikToks this week. Well, I haven't been practicing with TikToks this week. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm refusing. Sophie and Lou have. But you can also find our podcasts on the website, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all good podcast providers, and some rubbish ones. So today I am here with Sophie, who you met on the introduction podcast, co-founder of Consumer Friend, and all-round amazing person. How are you today, Soph? May I say you are looking terrific down the screen?
All the compliments, I would pay them back, but... Anyway, I'm very, very well today, Adam. You know, it's a bit grotty outside. The sun is not shining, but I'm here with you to do another amazing podcast, so I couldn't get any better.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Well, if you're here with me, it's going to be perfect. We are recording on the Sunday just before. We're Sunday morning. This afternoon, it's the England versus Germany ladies, women in the Euro final. So we don't know the result. By the time you're listening to this, you'll know the result. So I'm going to do 2 reactions. Yay, we won it. Brilliant. Well done, girls. Awesome. Awesome stuff.
Woo!
Or there's, don't worry. There's always next time. We'll get it. We'll get them next time. So delete one out. Right, okay. So today we are going to talk about rights when buying services. I have to say, when we decided on this topic, I thought, what do we really mean by services? I thought it was quite limited to kind of just haircuts. I kind of thought that's what it is. But actually, no, we use services all the time. So if your car needs fixing, hotels and accommodation, insurance, taxis, all that kind of stuff. Anything else, Sophie, you can think of?
Yeah, I guess gardening, wedding catering, getting your roof fixed in your house. There are so many different services, and I think services are one of those things that feel a bit more personal than going and buying goods in shops. They normally involve something that you're quite invested in. So something that's, you know, your property, your house, your body, your hair, your eyelashes, your nails, whatever it might be. With the cost of living crisis, it's really vital right now that we are educating consumers about their consumer rights. Consumer confidence is at an all-time low since the 70s. That's pretty shocking. That's a shocking statistic.
What do you mean by consumer confidence?
Consumer confidence in the sense of people being confident in their rights, what products are available to them, the longevity of products. Oh, there's a whole range of things when it comes to consumer confidence. Confidence in markets. It's not great at the minute, where we've got rising levels of consumer vulnerability potentially as well, means that if we don't know what we're looking for, what our rights are in relations to services, we are definitely more likely to be caught out, for example, by rogue traders. And that's a really big topic and something that kind of will go hand in hand in that. In the next few podcasts that we do, we'll be looking at how to find a trusted trader. That's going to be a big topic, and we just must really bear that in mind when we think about services.
Perfect. So in terms of the Consumer Rights Act 2015, everyone stay awake, everyone stay with me, please. Consumer Rights Act 2015, when buying services, what are we expecting?
Okay. I know Lou gave a really brief rundown of the Consumer Rights Act last week, so we won't delve into what that is. I think you all know if you've been listening to our podcast. I'm still really concerned about Louise's cold toes. They might reappear in this podcast in her absence.
She might have to the use of some kind of chiropractor for her toes that have come off. Not chiropractor. That's a back, isn't it? What's the chiropodist? I get confused between the two.
Or maybe
a chiropodist isn't going to help, is it?
Sew them back on. No.
I'm just trying to link it to a service somehow.
Nice try. I think Louise's toes are dead and buried right now.
They're gone.
Okay. They're gone. They're long gone. We can't find them. So services. When you have a service carried out, so hairdressers, your car fixed, there's a number of things that you are entitled to. And they are having the service. So the first thing, having the service carried out with reasonable care and skill. Do you know what that means, Adam?
So I would look at that and I would suggest that the person carrying out the service that I've requested should be qualified. Am I expecting them to be qualified? And how would I... But my issue with that is, how would I know that they've been qualified? How do I check that? How much research do I have to do as the consumer to make sure that that person is qualified to do the service that I want them to do?
Of course. It's a bit like how long is a piece of string. There are a number of things that you can do. You can look at whether they're a member of a trade association. You can ask to see qualifications. But I think it's worth highlighting that reasonable care and skill is industry specific. So there isn't an actual definition for what reasonable care and skill means. And it isn't determined by the end result. So for instance, if I go to the hairdressers and I haven't discussed with my hairdresser what kind of haircut I want, I just walk in and I say to the hairdresser, I want a haircut. And I sit down and we don't discuss what their haircut looks like. They get the scissors out. They chop my really long hair into a really short haircut. And at the end, I'm really narked and I'm upset because that's not what I asked for. But they did that haircut to a high standard. So it's neat, it's even, it's symmetrical, it's a good job, it's a good haircut, it's just not what I wanted. That doesn't mean that they've not carried out that job without reasonable care and skill. I didn't stipulate before sitting down in that chair what I wanted. I just said cut my hair, and that's what they did. However, if I go to the hairdressers and I sit down and I say, right, cut my hair, I want my hair to be bright orange and I want it to be a bob. That means just above my shoulders. Here's a picture. This is what I'm asking for, an orange bob. What a look. Look.
Why would you do that?
Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Okay,
I mean,
fine.
That's such a...
Whatever.
Just
Whatever you
orange
want.
bobs, right? They're coming back in. I'll tell you that now. Right, so you go, that's what you want. And you sit on the chair and you're there for a few hours. You get to the end of your haircut. You've got half a head of hair that's orange, half a head of hair that's blue, and one bit shorter than the other. Right, that means they haven't carried out that haircut with reasonable care and skill, I would say, because they don't know what they're doing. Because they should understand what I've asked for. They should know how to make both sides of my hair orange and equal and even, and they haven't. So there you would argue lack of reasonable care and skill, 100%. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep, that makes complete sense. I have to say, when I was about 15, I went and got my hair cut, and the barber absolutely butchered my hair. He kind of I went to a good Catholic school. It was quite strict. And the barber actually butchered me. Grade 0, back and sides, kind of did some crazy thing on top. My mum went to the barber's and she was furious. Italian mother, very, very furious, very, very passionate about her fury. Had an absolute go at the barber. I mean, I don't think we got a refund. I don't think it really mattered. And then I got detention for about 2 weeks from Mr. Malone for my terrible haircut.
So
and I think it ruined my chances of being head boy. I'm not entirely sure that's true. Maybe that's what I tell myself.
Yeah. You keep running with that story, Adam. Yeah, all right. Oh, Adam.
I don't think I was ever going to be head boy. My sister was head girl. I was never going to live up to that.
No. I understand that.
Okay, so reasonable care and
now.
skill. Reasonable care and skill done. What else? What the other things?
So next is that the service is completed within a reasonable time. So reasonable time is, again, sector specific. When I say sector specific, so sector is the hairdressing sector, the calf mending sector, whatever it is. Unless you've pre-agreed a time, so pre-contract information, you've told them that, you need this done and they said it's going to take 20 days, 20 years, unless you've agreed that in advance, then it should be a reasonable time. So your haircut should take a reasonable amount of time for a haircut. You should not be sat in a chair for a whole day if you're literally just having your split ends trimmed off.
See, this again, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago with Louise about the whole reasonable word and how almost wishy-washy it is, and you don't really know what a reasonable time is, a reasonable time period is. You don't know what a reasonable care and skill is, and it, like you say, it's kind of up to you to do your research and kind of figure out what that actually is.
Absolutely. We've got to take responsibility as consumers, and that's why we're here, and that's why websites like us hopefully will, serve to educate people about what their rights are, because people don't know. It is hard. You do have to take responsibility, and things can be complicated and not easy to understand. And these are big words, but do your research. If you're a consumer, do your research. Look on the internet, ask your friends and family, but make sure you do a bit of preparation before you engage in a service about what reasonable time is.
Okay. All right, fine. Also, I hate getting my hair cut. I honestly, I'd pay extra for it to be a shorter amount of time. I absolutely hate it. Then they start talking to you about stuff, and it's the same conversation they've had 12 times today. I'm really sorry, but I know you've had this conversation. I don't say this. I go, oh yeah, that's something. I kind of commit to the small talk, but I just hate it.
I don't know what hair that you've got to have cut, but yeah,
hey,
I totally
it's still there. Just okay,
really
right?
painful,
I get that it's thinning, and I know we do actually have in our notes how long should it take for you to get your hair transplant? Asking for a friend. It's still there a little bit. I'm clinging on.
Asking for a friend. Clinging on. Yeah, I think there should be silent hairdressers invented, so you can go and you know that all you need to do is tell them what you want, and then after that you don't have to talk to each other.
Perfect. There's a business idea. Silent hairdressers. I love that idea.
The silent snip.
Yeah, the silent snip. That sounds dodgy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a bit actually.
Okay, so reasonable period. If no time limit was agreed in advance. Okay, next.
Reasonable price. So here we are back to one of these things that we're not certain what it means. What is a reasonable price? Services that we use frequently, such as hairdressers again, you will know what a reasonable price is, I think. And if you know that you're going to a celebrity hairdresser, that the price might be a little bit more expensive. But I think the price element comes into it when you're having like bigger pieces of work done. So maybe your kitchen refitted, something really expensive done. That reasonable price thing it's so important to go and get a couple of quotes. So speak to numerous traders about, how much they would charge you for a job, to ensure that you are looking across the board. Don't just go to one business trader and say, how much is it? And they say £30,000 and you go, okay then, because that could be completely unreasonable. So again, do your research, get numerous quotes from different people, and that will give you an average cost across the board and will help you with that reasonable price element. Yeah.
Yeah, but
again, unless pre-agreed up front. So
again, it's hard to find a trader, isn't it? The trader thing is going to be tricky, and I don't know when we've got that podcast kind of booked in to do, if we have got it booked in yet, but I know it's certainly on our list. Finding a good trader is very difficult. I mean, we always suggest you should kind of ask family and friends first and for their recommendations, because they're the people that have got your back. And kind of be wary of kind of the Trustpilot reviews, as some of them can be faked. So be wary of fake reviews. But yeah, definitely do your research and definitely get at least 3 quotes if you're going to do some kind of big job.
Definitely. So in summary, there are your 3 things: reasonable care and skill, reasonable time, reasonable price. If any one part of those things is not followed through or done correctly, then you have got a right to find some sort of resolution, redress, or get your money back. You've got options going forwards, but they're your 3 key elements.
So I'm not happy with the service that I've received. Let's go with the fact that let's go with the wedding caterer one, because that's kind of a one-off service. I'm not going to get married again. Well, I'm certainly not going to get married again. Even if this current one
Is your wife in the house?
No, she's not. No, she's gone out. She's taken a walk. Even if this current one comes to an end, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get married again. So that wedding caterer can only do the job once. And what if I'm not happy with the catering that I've had? What if, a bunch of 14-year-olds turned up, not enough of them, and they were throwing food all over the place, and I was really upset. It kind of ruined my day. What do I do then?
Okay, so when we look at what our entitlement is, there's a couple of factors to consider. So one is called repeat performance, which basically means asking them to do the job again, which, as you've just stated, you can't ask them to do that job again because you only get married once, we hope.
Same here.
Or not. So you can't ask them to redo the job, but there'll be other services that you engage with that you can ask them to redo the job. So you could ask them to redo your haircut. You could ask them to redo an element of your garden, and if you weren't happy with it, to improve it or to make it better. And we have to give businesses, traders, the opportunity to do that. That's first and foremost. But in the wedding catering situation, you can't ask somebody to redo it. So you would be potentially looking at some form of partial refund. Again, this comes back to what you've discussed and had committed to in advance of that catering. So you can only really claim for what you've asked for. So if you asked for 1,000 curries and you only got 800, then you would be entitled to ask for a partial refund for the curries that you didn't get, I suppose. But you are dependent on, and this is why it's so vital, that those pre-discussions. If you haven't had those discussions, it makes things a lot harder. And anything that's written is also binding, particularly when a consumer relies on it. So if you're going to do wedding catering, if you're going to go to caterers, you probably need to have that written, what you've agreed, what you've discussed. You're reliant upon it for your wedding. It's a big deal. It's a massive deal. And they're things that will impact on your decision to contract with that company. So top tip here is always, I would say, have things written down, communicate really effectively with somebody providing a service. So in that situation, if you weren't happy, if something wasn't carried out, if that catering wasn't done with reasonable care and skill, or it wasn't done within a reasonable time, you would have a right to go back to that company and ask, probably in this situation, for a partial refund, depending, did you eat the food, did you not eat the food, how much of the food did you eat? There's so many anomalies there, but you would be entitled to
each case on its merits. Okay, fine. So potentially though, that these traders, these businesses might not know what their commitment is under the Consumer Rights Act. They might not have an understanding of their what's the word I'm looking for? Obligations. Their obligations under the Consumer Rights Act. So they might just turn around and go, no, I'm not going to do that. You've already paid me. It's done now. See you later. I'm not going to engage. Then what do I do?
Well, then you'd be going down a complaints procedure process, wouldn't you? So they would always be the next steps when you're dealing with situations like this, is that you try and sort it out informally and give a business the opportunity to put things right. But if the business doesn't understand their rights, yes, Adam, he's got his hand up.
You could, point them in the direction of consumerfriend.org.uk, which could then explain what their obligations are under the Consumer Rights Act. What a great idea that is.
Absolutely could do that. What a great idea. Round of applause for Adam. Anyone would think that he'd work for the business. I'm sure there's some legislation actually that stipulates that businesses actually have a legal duty to respond to complaints and have a complaints procedure and deal with consumers that complain. My dog's just barked in the background. If anybody hears that, I'm really sorry.
I'm sure it's okay. I think everyone's used to it now.
The doorbell went, damn it.
In the last 2.5 years, everyone is used to dogs barking in the background now. And people being disrupted by parcels arriving at the door. Sorry, got to go. Parcel at the door.
Sorry, parcel. Yeah. So if you hear, it's just Percy having a little bark to himself. Bless him. So yes, I think businesses have a duty to have a complaints procedure. So you would then need to begin a complaints procedure in writing, always keep logs and records of all communications that you're having. if you can agree a way forward with the business, that's always preferable. But, we know, I know that that's not always what happens. We deal with this a lot in trading standards. It's bread and butter work, which is assisting people with other forms of dispute resolution, problem fixing. So alternative dispute resolution being one of them. Some businesses may belong to a trade association. So a body that oversees them, regulates them. So you may be able to go there and ask them to help and intervene and get involved with your complaint. If not, you might be able to go to an ombudsman. So somebody that, again, can help you unpick a problem. That's what ombudsmen do, and help you find a resolution. And then ultimately the end result, which is we really don't want to get there, would be the small claims court. And we won't go into that because hopefully you will never need to get to that stage. And more often than not, these types of disputes will be solved way, way, way before it gets to court. I went to small claims court once with a man because he had a falling out with somebody who sold him a koi carp. And we had to go all the way to the small claims court for this poor koi carp.
How much was the koi carp?
It wasn't big enough. I don't know, about 75p.
So hopefully if you follow what we're saying, you won't end up going to a small claims court for the sake of 75p.
No, don't do that. Do not do that. And I got kicked out of the courtroom as well by the judge because he determined that I had too much knowledge as a trading standards officer to support the guy. I thought I was there as there's this thing in law called a Mackenzie friend, and I thought I was there as his Mackenzie friend, but I wasn't because I had too much knowledge. This was when I was a baby in my trading standards career, and I got fully ejected from the court. Oh, the shame.
Oh, wonderful. You could...
Kicked out.
Oh, wow. It's a good story. It's a good story. Something to tell the kids.
You live and learn.
Right, well, unless there's anything else you want to mention around services, I think we're done.
No, I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And as Adam said earlier, head over to the website. You've got our Trained in 2 documents. There is a whole raft of information on there. If I've not made sense, I'm sure something that's written down will make sense. Go and have a look.
And also, there's going to be a few TikToks around services and goods coming out over the next couple of weeks, we think. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm refusing to do it, so it's going to be just you and Louise. Also, I mean, no. I'm putting myself down and I'm kind of raising your status. I'm not the best. I've got a face for radio. Whereas you guys are beautiful, and I think it's best if you put yourselves out there as the face of the team, and I'll just hide in the background, just speaking every now and again.
All right, Adam, okay, whatever. We're getting you on a TikTok. You will be on a TikTok okay, if it kills me. Yeah.
So yes, we've still got...
Check it out tomorrow.
Consumerfriend.org.uk. Please get on the website. If you like the podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review. And obviously say something as well about how wonderful it is. You can get in touch with us through the website at consumerfriend.org.uk at the Contact Us page. Our email address is on there as well, but it's info@consumerfriend.org.uk. And that is it for today. Thank you very much, Sophie.
Thank you, Adam.
And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. I'm not too sure what we've got planned in for the next 2 weeks, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. The next podcast, I don't know. It's on a list somewhere. I tend not to worry about it until the moment. I live for the now, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Live dangerously.
Right. Thank you very much, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.